Hi, my name is Dustin Velasquez, and I'm the assistant coach at Navarro College. Today I want to talk to you guys about the championship mindset. Now, I have a long list of things that I want you to take notes on, so please have notebook and pen ready as I want you to write down and remember some key facts about having a championship mindset, okay? So let's go. The first thing, obviously, in your culture, at your gyms or wherever you hold your cheerleading, you need to have discipline and consistency. So there's a thing called motivation. We all know what motivation is, but I want you to write down discipline and consistency over motivation. So it is great to be motivated all the time, but there is no way we can all stay motivated at all times while we are working, while we are perfecting our craft, while we are drilling skills, and while we are going through these motions we call cheerleading. So what I like to say is it's better to be dedicated and have consistency than being motivated all the time. We're gonna have bad days. We're gonna have days where we struggle. We're gonna have days where our athletes are not getting it, or it's just they don't have the athletic background. So you have to build and work on their technique and their foundation and use drills to get them the air awareness, or to build the strength, or to build the technical aspect of the stun or tumbling, right, or baskets. So I would say the main thing to discipline is showing up every day, being on time, making sure you're actually doing what is required of you every single time you step into the gym. And then there's that consistency aspect. So we all know that consistency is one of the biggest things that is required in cheerleading. It is what we need as teams to go out there and hit a great routine. We have to build the consistency. So not only training discipline in terms of what the athletes do, when they do it, how they do it, and why they do it, but also training the consistency aspect and helping them get the reps, helping them work through the failures, helping them build their technique so they can stay consistent, so they can give you exactly what you want. So many times I hear coaches say stay tight, but I feel like that's not always addressing the exact issue of the problem. So in order to fix that, you have to break down the stunt. And I always say, you can never say too much. I mean, it's all about details. Everything we do, there is a particular way that you can do it and make it work and make it consistent every time. And I always tell my athletes, when you're going through the skills, work it 100 times until you figure out 100 ways not to do it. And when you hit it, remember that one way. Find that tune and start fine-tuning those little instruments, those hands, those feet, to do with the same thing they need to do every single time. So consistency is huge. Discipline is huge. We need to make sure that everyone's coming in all the time, showing up, and they're doing what they need to do to build the consistency. I would say next is that continuous growth mindset, and I've touched on it on my Instagram recently, but you want to have that unceasing desire to not give up, to continue. And I always say, if you can't run, jog. If you can't jog, walk. If you can't walk, crawl, right? It doesn't matter if you have to start from the very bottom of what you're doing, but you have to have unceasing desire to continue to grow. So write that down, continuous growth mindset, right? And so a lot of times athletes, they get into the gym and they have this fixed mindset where they don't think they need to do anymore. They think they've reached their max potential, or they're fine where they are. They're complacent, right? That's our job as coaches, to help them realize that they're fixed in this position. If you haven't gotten a new skill in months, you're fixed, right? You should constantly be working towards new things, setting little goals, setting little wins and victories for yourself, right? Even now, me as a coach, in the 16, 17 years that I've been doing this, I just learned a new stunt tonight with a girl. I did a front pop full twist, and it took me 100 reps, but once we figured it out, I hit it 3 to 4 times in a row. So I was building that consistency. I was figuring out 100 different ways to do it wrong, And then I found the way to do it right, and I kept that technique and I kept working it until I hit it. So having that unceasing desire to not let failure into my heart and not let success go to my head, right? I'm constantly working on what exactly I need to do to perfect this, to make it good. So I am not letting my mindset go into a negative route. I'm actually thinking positive. That's one more rep that I did that's going to help me get to where I need to get. So we have to build that into our athletes and not let them break themselves down, not let them get frustrated, not let them throw temper tantrums, whatever. We have to keep them positive, because positivity will take you a lot further than negativity. Negativity leads to burnout. So building that unceasing passion of cheerleading to get better and to perfect yourself, that's another thing. Next, I want to touch on leadership, right? So write that down, leadership. Leadership is one big thing that I feel a lot of teams, a lot of gyms, a lot of programs are missing. And so sometimes in the USA, we have team captains. Sometimes there's natural leaders that emerge. But I feel like it starts at the very top. So coaches, you are the peak. You guys are the summit. You guys are the example. So you should be showing up on time to every practice. You should be making sure that you practice what you preach, right? And then you should also make sure that you are staying positive, that you have a continuous growth mindset, that you are constantly wanting to learn. And I'm telling you, there's so many things that I know, but I'm still learning even more on top of what I know, and just building my arsenal, building my mental fortitude, building my championship mindset. And I feel like I am not done growing, right? I am not at the very best I can be. I know I still have more to go, and every coach should be that way. Last year, we got the highest score in the competition. I'm still hungry. I'm still starving. I still want more. I want to be better. So I'm just saying, don't get stuck in your ways. You have to lead by example. You have to do everything right, and have those morals, those ethics, those values. And I feel like it starts with us at the top, and then it carries down to the rest of our athletes. Obviously, we can't control what every athlete does and how every athlete thinks, but trying to instill those morals, those values, and those character traits that we want is huge in building your championship mindset, your culture in your gym, right? Next thing I want you guys to write down is focus. So one of the biggest things that I notice from cheer gym to cheer gym is we don't have a plan. We don't have a focus. We don't have a thing that we need to get done that day. And I will say one thing that I do, and this is not what you have to do, but one thing that I do to help keep my athletes on track and also help keep them motivated is I have a big whiteboard that I bring to practice. And on this whiteboard, I write down, because we have Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we stunt, pyramid, basket. Tuesday, Thursday, we tumble and we jump. So that's one way we schedule out our days in terms of planning. But we bring out this whiteboard, and on Tuesday and Thursdays, I'm writing the exact tumbling passes that I would like to see. And I say, John, just using a name, John, you have tumbling A pass, B pass, C pass, D pass, and E pass, and I want to see all those passes today. So I'm giving him exactly what I want him to do, and he has to write next to his name an A, a B, a C every single time he completes it. And that is giving him accountability to make sure that he's doing exactly what he needs to do at practice. Now, that is just the minimum, right? So I'm just telling him that's what's required in order to be successful in my program, in order to make Matt, in order to go further. I need to see more than just the bare minimum. So those 5 passes that are super elite passes are just the bare minimum. I want to see what you can really do. I want to pull the best out of you. So show me even more than that. Those are just your foundational skills that I like to see. For stunting, I'm writing down exactly what elites I want all my kids to work on for the hour, for maybe an hour and a half, whatever time we allot to the kids to actually work their skills. But I'm saying, I want 5 extended hand-to-hands to QP in a row. I want 5 extended hand-to-hands to arabesque immediately with a double down. I want 5 extended hand-to-hands to platform with a stretch double down. Then we move on and I say, I want 5, let's say, rewinds. Then I want 5 rewind QPs in a row. And then I want 5 one-to-ones, one-arm rewinds, right? And I say, you cannot move to the next skill unless you follow this progression, right? And for people who are not elite stunters, I give them other options that they can do, and I'm writing those on the board as well. So I make sure my practice is very structured, so the kids know exactly what they're working for. So I'm giving you these fine details of our practice and what it's like, so you understand exactly how to work a practice, how to schedule a practice. And I always write everything down before I go in. So I feel like if you have like a lesson plan, I know it sounds kind of teacherish, but if you have a lesson plan and then you implement the lesson plan with the kids and they see what's worked out for the entire day, it helps them know, hey, I have this much time left. I need to push, or I need to grind faster or harder, or I need to get this skill so I can move on to the next skill. It's a lot of things in terms of motivation, in terms of inspiration, and in terms of aspirations and getting their goals and hitting their goals for the day, right? To have their name on the board, to put A, B, and C, to check things off. Sometimes we have baskets and they come up and they check off their baskets that they've done for the day. So you have to have that focus on what's important. And I feel like when you leave the space open and you just say, hey, we're gonna work this, and then you work it for a little bit and then give them a break, whatever, and then you come back, you're like, all right, now we're gonna work on this. It's kind of like you leave room for your athletes to lose their focus. So I always say, starve your distractions. We don't want any distractions whatsoever. So you gotta starve them out. And in order to starve them out, you have to plan that whole practice. When you start planning your whole practice, you will see that you get a lot more accomplished, and there's less room for the negative. There's less room for the unknown. Let's just say the unknown. There's less room for the unknown. So I highly recommend focusing on what matters and starving the distractions, not letting that into your practice environment is huge. Next, I want you to write this down again. Storms. Every team goes through the thunderstorm. Every team goes through chaos. Every team goes through someone getting crazy injured or sick or family member, or there's just so many things that life throws at us as a whole. And when you build that discipline and consistency, when you build that unceasing, continuous growth mindset, when you build the leadership and the focus and the distractions are starved, when you get to the storms, it's almost calming in a sense of natural to the people that have things that going on in their life, that they need that. They need the discipline. They need the environment that is pushing them, that takes their mind off those things, that helps them fight through it and gives them strength. So I feel like every team goes to the storms, and I always say to my athletes, are you going to let this storm sink your ship? Or are you going to let this storm's winds guide you right through and push you through the storm? Are the winds going to carry you through? Are you going to walk on water? Or are you going to get stuck and sink and crash and, shipwreck basically? So one of the hugest things that gyms go through is storms. And are you going to let it carry you through, or are you going to let it sink you? So if you have all the other things, then most of the time you will get carried through that storm. Your team will pick you up. They'll use those things to motivate and to win and to strengthen the bond of the team, to bring them closer together. Next, write this down. 3, 2, 1. One of the biggest things that I tell people in my program is you can't let the fear overcome and take over what you're going to do. right? You have a goal. And let's just say it's a basket. If you're afraid of a basket, you don't have to go from a straight ride to a double full basket. You don't have to go from a straight ride to a Arabian 1.5. That is an unrealistic expectation. So when I say 3, 2, 1, that means you're getting in the basket and you're going. You're doing something. You're doing a straight ride. You're doing a toe touch. You're doing a rewind. You're getting comfortable. And so you can even say 5, 6, 7, 8. Jump in, right? It's like you're forcing your body to go through a motion that you are afraid of at a lower level, right? So let's say it's a back tuck. You're scared of a back tuck, okay? Put a mat there. Put a trampoline. Get used to flipping over on something easier and use that method of 3, 2, 1, I'm going to do it. Force yourself to do it. If you can force yourself to get in the mode of, I'm going to overcome this fear, I'm going to do this, right? Nothing will stop you. You will continue growing and learning and becoming better because you are overcoming your fears, right? So 3, 2, 1, super simple. But let's just say you want to talk to a girl. 3, 2, 1, you got the courage, go talk to the girl. You want to jump in a basket. 3, 2, 1, do it. Do a straight ride. Do a back tuck. Get it out of the way, right? You're scared of a full. Put crash mats there. 3, 2, 1, go. Give it your all. I mean, majority of the time when you commit to something, there's little room for getting injured because you're committing to the skill, right? It's when we go in there and we're scared and we're freaking out and we try to flip or we try to spin or do things too soon, and that's where there's room for injury because people usually stop upside down or they don't throw the stunt and they hold the arms or crazy stuff, right? So you have to say 3, 2, 1, I'm going to be confident. I'm going to throw no matter what. I'm going to flip no matter what. I'm going to stand no matter what. I'm going to twist no matter what, right? So we have to stay committed to what we're doing. And if you are convicting yourself to doing that, you will overcome, you will accomplish, you will do what needs to be done. And I always say with the 3, 2, 1 thing, usually there's bad habits there. So this is your next thing you're writing down. With bad habits, majority of the time, a lot of our athletes come to our programs with bad habits, with things that they've learned on their own or just picked up from somebody else because they didn't know what they're doing or they didn't know what they're talking about. So one of the biggest things that you need to know is in order to beat your bad habits, you have to create new habits. So again, I'm going to repeat that one more time. In order to beat your bad habits, you got to create new habits, okay? So write that down, beat your habits. In order to do that, you have to create new ones. Okay, so how does that work, right? So let's say my problem is, I don't finish my toss, okay? Well, in order to fix not finishing my toss in a stunt, right, I have to create a new habit. So there's something that I'm doing wrong that is not allowing me to toss to the top, and so now I need to go back and rework a new technique, a new way of doing something. And a lot of times, us as coaches, we know the fix to things. We know how to approach our athletes and get them to do this. But to make it a habit is different. So a lot of times, I take it back to the very beginning of a toss, right? I take the guy, I go down and I have them stop at the down and let the girl jump. And I'm like letting them feel when the girl jumps, and I'm breaking it down completely so they understand exactly when go time is, when they should be firing their muscles, right? I try to say it in different ways so they understand how they're going to explode and how they're going to use their explosiveness to get someone up. And maybe because of their toss lacking power, maybe I need to build strength, so maybe I need to build their new habit in the gym, lifting weights, in order to help increase their power, to get the girl to the top. So there's many different things that we can do to help build new habits, but that's one thing. So let's say a girl's feet is apart in her tumbling always, right? Or bent knees in her tumbling always. Well, then that's when we go back a step and we start building new habits, right? So every single time she does tumbling, let's say her feet are apart, I'm putting rubber bands on her feet, and I'm saying, every single time you tumble in my gym, you're gonna do it for a week straight with rubber bands. And I'm making sure that she's flipping with her feet together, maybe on a tumble track or something safe. I'm not talking super elite passes, because obviously I'm going back to the beginning of her tumbling. But I'm making sure that she's doing it with her feet together, right? And then maybe we take the bands away, maybe we put a little piece of paper between her legs, and we're making her squeeze it as she's tumbling. And eventually, she will start building the new habit. And it takes time to build new habits, but once you do build the habit, then it becomes muscle memory, then it becomes normal, then it becomes your natural. So beating old habits requires you to build new ones. You wanna get stronger, you gotta build a habit of working out, going to the gym, taking care of your body, eating the right food, right? You wanna build a habit of tumbling better, well, you gotta get in the gym, and you gotta change your habit of once or twice a week in the gym to you need to be in the gym 3 to 4 times a week in order to get your tumbling up. You maybe need to take private lessons with the coach that you haven't taken before. Certain things like that. So you're building new habits to beat the old ones. All right. And let's go to working on what matters. So you write that down. Working on what matters. Too many times I see athletes, let's say coach says, oh, we're working this, and they start working on something completely different, right? And I feel like as a coach, one, you're like, it's great, I'm proud of you for working on this and being excited and happy to do this new skill or work on this new thing, or maybe they're working at a higher level than the other teammates or whatnot. But I feel like when it comes to a championship mindset, right, I want to be able to hit the skill that my team is working on, that we're working on together, 10 out of 10 times. If I can do that, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on 10 out of 10 with every group or every girl on the team. That should be my next goal. I feel like too many athletes go, oh, I did 10 full ups. Now I'm going to work on double ups for the rest of practice. If we're not competing double ups, you are building some crazy mindset or mentality in your gym by now this person's working double ups, this person's working back handspring double ups, this person's working hand skis back here, but yet we're going to compete back handspring full up. You know what I'm saying? Or we're going to compete team full up. If they're not working on what matters in the moment, and then someone drops, you got to reevaluate, because there's just too many times I walk into gyms and there's kids working on random stuff that's not going to be on the routine. And I feel like it is so important to the culture for them to know what is required and what they can and can't do, and building that this is what we're working on culture, because this is what the team needs, not what you need, right? And so if he wants to work double ups, hand skis, if the all-girl group wants to do backhand dubs, whatever it is, and that's not something you're competing, that's an open gym scenario. That's where they can work on it in their own time, or they want your coach to come in with them, work on it with them, great. But I think during team time, it has to be focused on team skills. It has to be focused on we, not me. So that's another thing that I think plays into a championship culture, is making sure that we're working on what matters, what we're going to use, right? And me and Monica always talk about reps, how important reps are. Getting reps is the most important thing to a successful routine. Cheerleaders are crazy. We're crazy. We spend 2 minutes and 30 seconds, right, going on stage and performing our hearts out, or maybe it's 2:15, right? We spend the whole year working towards 2 minutes and 30 seconds. It's insane. And you got to remember that if your team, if your kids aren't spending the whole year working towards that 2 minutes and 30 seconds, some other team is. So think about it that way. It is a we, it is a us, it is a collective group of people competing to win, right? It's not individual. So we have to make sure that our practices are geared towards an us culture, a we culture. All right. Winning. I have 2 formulas, and I want you to write these down. So, hard work plus determination equals a winning tradition. I'll repeat that again. Hard work plus determination equals a winning tradition. Now, I learned that at Morehead State University in Kentucky because athletes there, we spend hours upon hours in the gym grinding. That is the hard work part. Then the determination part, right, is the fact that we are determined to be the best in the world. We are determined to compete the hardest skills that we possibly can and do it well and do it correctly and do it safely and right? And when you have the hard work and the determination, that creates the winning tradition, right? So the next set of, I guess you could say, like, equation I have for you is vision plus focus equals outcome. So write that down. Vision plus focus equals the outcome. Now, I think that if you just have a idea, right, or you just have people working on things, right, those are just actions. But you can have this vision that you create that now you apply action to a vision, right? Now that is leading into the focus part of now action and what you want to do, the vision, the dream, the goal, right? And then you have the focus on those things 100%, and then you'll have an outcome from the focus, from the vision, right? So if you do the hard work plus determination, winning tradition, and you have vision and focus, that'll create that outcome. That'll create that winning tradition that you want. So remember those things. Vision without action is just a daydream. You're just dreaming at that point. So you have to visualize it, apply the actions to it, focus on the actions and what your goal is, and then it'll lead to that winning tradition. Another thing I want to talk about, you could write this down. There's 3 words that help me as a coach in every situation that I'm going through, okay? So, good, bad, ugly, great, memorable, whatever it is. There's these 3 things. So, foresight. You must have foresight. You must have oversight. And you must have hindsight. I'm going to repeat it again. Foresight, oversight, hindsight. These are the 3 main things that I use in my coaching when evaluating everything that I'm doing for the team. So foresight is looking into what you can do, what you want to do, what you should be doing, things like that, right? So it's like the vision almost, right? You want to have foresight for your team, what they eventually want to accomplish, what you can do with what you have, what you can create, what you got, right? Then you have the oversight. So now you're looking at every individual piece and you're having oversight of what you're working on. So a lot of managers in businesses have oversight, and they tell people what to do. They're looking at the whole factory, but they don't have foresight of the vision of where they're going to take the company, right? So you got to think about it like that. Some people are focused on just the oversight. Some people are focused on this is where we want the company to be, right? Or the team to be. But you got to have both working together. So the foresight, the oversight, which is looking at everything. And then lastly, the hindsight. So once everything plays out and happens, let's say it's your first competition of the year, right? You had the foresight of, hey, we're going to get first. We're going to do this, and that, right? During practice, you have the oversight, and you're making sure all the pieces are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then after they've competed, you have that hindsight, hey, we got second. Let's look back and see what we can do to make this routine even better, to see where our failures were, to learn from the failure, right? and to basically piece an even better puzzle together, an even stronger material, to go out there and perform and to make it better. So you have to have those three things to make it better every single time, and you should want to as a coach. So those three things guide me always, and even looking back on this past year, I know there's things I can do better. That's my hindsight right there. I'm looking at my routine, and I've watched that video multiple times, and I'm like, this can be better, this can be better, this can be better, this can be better. And obviously I wish and hope every single time that I can make my routine even better and better and better. But that's the hindsight of things, right? And then once I hit hindsight, I'm going back to foresight and I'm starting over again. So it's kind of a little revolving door. If you think about it like three little doors, right? And it's just spinning and you hit it every single time. You're going through every single motion. And maybe it's every single practice. You reflect on, before practice, you have the foresight. At practice, you have the oversight of the team and you're managing everything. And then after practice, you use the hindsight to make sure that it's going better than it could, or better than it should, or maybe there's something you got to tweak and change. So those three things guide me through my whole career, and I think that you guys definitely need to add that to your arsenal of things to reflect. And I feel like a lot of coaches already do this, but you do it unintentionally. So now when you writing these three things down, you'll actually do it intentionally, right? Every practice you will self-check yourself and your work to see what you can do better. And then I want to talk about the chaos part. So I think one of the biggest things with teams and with coaches is they don't throw their athletes into chaos enough, right? So when I talk about chaos, write that down, chaos. I want them to get into high pressure situations. That's how you build confidence. So I'll give you an example. At night, we have a night practice sometimes with Navarro. We'll do partner stunt competitions for my team. And I have two belts. One for the guy, the guy, and one for the girl, right? So it's like just a co-ed belt. And I have them go in, and I give them all an hour and a half, or an hour, somewhere around there. And I'm like, put together a routine. You're gonna perform it in front of everybody, and you have an hour and a half to do it. Let me see what you got. And I'm putting them in a pressure situation to perform in front of all their peers, right? So that's one. Number two, I feel like every single time that they are put in that pressure situation, from beginning to the end of the year, they become much better of an athlete. But I'm putting them in and under pressure, under fire, as soon as they come to Navarro. I don't wait till they have a routine. I don't wait till a certain time of the season. No, I'm like, even at games, I'm like, I know you can throw this stunt. Let's see it. I want to see a good stunt thrown. Show me. The crowd's watching. Everyone's watching. I try not to ever make them throw things I know they can't do, but I do like to put pressure on the things that they can do, and I know they can do well. And so that's how I'm building their mentality. I'm building their mindset. I'm building their mental fortitude with chaos, right? I'm using the pressure factor. I'm using the adrenaline, and I'm using their butterflies, and I'm making the butterflies work for them. I'm making them fly for the athlete. So write that down. Make your butterflies work for you. In the USA, we say you got butterflies in your stomach because your stomach drops, you're scared, or you're nervous, right? Make your butterflies work for you. And if you're afraid and you have fear, it's okay. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to have fear in high pressure situations, but you got to do it anyways. You can't let the fear stop you. Right now, I tell my athletes, don't let the fear of failure stop you from doing something that you know you can do. Especially if they've worked it 100,000 times at practice, and I've seen them hit it 100,000 times. I'm gonna be like, no, you can do this, And I think as coaches, believing in them under the pressure also helps build their mindset, right? And here's the thing: a lot of times, coaches, once an athlete drops or makes a mistake, it's like you're coming down hard on them and whatnot. That's not building their mindset, because now they're afraid, they're scared, and they don't want to do it. They don't want to be a mistake. They don't want to throw a big skill because we've come down on them so hard. It's okay. Athletes are going to drop. Athletes are going to fall. Athletes are going to make mistakes, and we have to be aware of that as coaches, that we can't control the uncontrollable at all times. We can only control what we can control. And so with that being said, is you have to use the chaos in the moments that you can and let them fail or let them succeed in order to build their mentality, so that when you get to the big moment, when you get to the big show, when you get to where it absolutely really matters, you can trust that athlete because you've built their mindset. You've grown them. You've built them up. You've brought them to a place where they feel invincible. And one thing I told my team when we were at Daytona, I said, you guys are bulletproof. And if I believe it, they're going to start believing that they're bulletproof. They're going to start believing they can walk on water. They're going to start believing that they're unstoppable, right? But it starts from us believing in them. It starts from us putting them in those pressure situations. And we also have a saying in the U.S. saying, pressure makes diamonds, right? Are you going to be smashed down and wrecked to coal, or are you going to become a diamond, right? So pressure makes diamonds. I always say that, like, when you have those opportunities, don't waste it. Use those opportunities to grow your team, to grow the mentality. Even if it's not, they're competing all of their elements in the routine. They could compete sections of the routine, right? Getting them in front of a crowd, getting them in front of people, getting them in front of their peers, that's how you're going to build that mindset. That's how you're going to raise their level. That's how you're going to make them hit when it really matters. Okay, lastly, I will leave you with this. Championship mindset comes down to every individual on your team. We are only as strong as our weakest link. So, write that down, only as strong as the weakest link. Because when you put people on the map and you have someone that is weak in an area, right? We have to do our absolute best to build that person up, to give them the best chance of success. So, one thing that I like to do is I like to make my worst with my best with my worst, middle, side, right, left, back, whatever. I make everybody stunt together, and I switch partners consistently and constantly, right? So when my athletes show up, they don't know who they're stunting with until the day of, because I want to build everybody up as a whole. I want my best of the best to teach my new people. You know, I want my tumblers to tumble on all surfaces. We have a saying in Navarro: anywhere, any place, anytime. We should be able to do any stunt, anywhere, any place, anytime, if you got it like that. Tumblers, anywhere, any place, anytime, any surface, right? They can do trampoline, they can do dead mat, they can do spring floor, they can do rod floor. I'm telling you, my kids are amazing, but it's because we build them to believe that they are amazing. We build them to believe that we trust them. We build them to believe that they can do this, and also we build competitive nature between the team, so they know we take a lot of people on our team, and we have the luxury to do that. I know not every team does that, but I think it's great to have alternates. That also builds your culture, because these people who are alternates, who may not be ready or may have come late to the gym or may have come, you know, maybe they're coming off an injury or something like that. They're great to have alternates because they are on the tail, the coattails, I like to say, of the people who are on the floor competing or performing or in the routine or whatever you want to say currently, right? So we use every ounce of energy we have to challenge and to promote a healthy competitive environment. And I always say to people and my kids, if someone just comes in and takes your spot, then it was never your spot to begin with. Because, to be honest, if it was me, I'm not going to be outworked, right? If someone wants to come and take my spot, they're going to have to wake up the crack of dawn, because that's what I'm doing. They're going to have to go to the gym multiple times a week, because that's what I'm doing. They're going to have to go into the cheer gym multiple times a week, because that's what I'm doing. And they're going to have to be able to stunt everybody and do everything that I can, and basically do the amount of work that I did for the past 15, 16 years to get to where I am, to take my spot. And I'm telling you right now, that ain't gonna happen. No one's taking my spot, because I put in the hours, I put in the work, I have that mentality that no one is better than me, and I will be the best, right? And I tell my athletes that too. If you want to have a spot, if you want to be the best, if you want to have everything you want and accomplish with your goals, it's as easy as saying, I'm gonna do it, and no one is gonna outwork me. People always say, I'm gonna try to be like this person. I'm gonna maybe do that tomorrow. I'm gonna try to throw this today, and we'll see how it goes. You're already creating doubt in your head, right? When you use words like try and maybe, there's already doubt right there that you're not gonna do it. So for me, when I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna do this today. I may fail, but I will fail trying to do it, right? And I don't even like saying trying. I will fail doing it, right? So, basically with the culture, the championship mindset, it comes down to, what are you doing as an individual? And are you the example? Are you the person that nobody can outwork? Are you the person that is dedicating your whole life to what you're doing? There's so many things that go into that championship mindset that I'm talking about, that no one can ever take away, no one can ever compete with, because you will not be outworked, right? You will spend every ounce of energy you have becoming what you need to become in order to do what you need to do. So, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something from how I coach at Navarro, how my championship mindset works, some of the aspects of coaching that I implement into my practices, and I hope you took some great notes. Please let me know. Reach out to me on social media. You can look me up at Dustin Hatersoff. That's my Instagram name, and you can also add me as a friend on Facebook, Dustin Velasquez, and what else? Instagram, Facebook. I don't really use Twitter. I just basically look through. TikTok is also Dustin Hatersoff. And I think that if you guys implement these things into your program, you will see drastic changes in the way your practice environment is, in the way of your athletes' mindsets, and your success in the future, 100%. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and tell me if you liked it. Thanks so much. See you guys.